in the next session, we're talking about the support circle, the inspiration and the guidance that comes to us in the form of a mentor. Yes? How many of us in the room have a mentor? Only 2 people have a mentor? Okay, we'll help you find mentors in this session. But like honestly, maybe your mom, maybe... Sorry? Yes, okay, so we'll hopefully be teaching you how to look for the right mentor. What are the values that your mentor should upkeep for you, right? So let's welcome the speakers for this session. Padmavathi. Welcoming the lovely lady from Chennai. The founder and director of Arjana Management Consultants with specialization in skill mapping, skill assessment, and counseling for multiple years. Welcoming you. If I could invite this potent little packet right to my right. Come on over. Please put your hands together for an extraordinary woman. Jayashree Patil, ladies and gentlemen, you will hear her story. It will blow your mind, I promise you. Your money back guaranteed. Neetu Ohri. Shmuel Levy. There he is. A very patient audience for many years. A social worker par excellence coming all the way from Israel. Neetu, you stuck up behind me. Neetu is the Vice President, Human Resources Head at Sugee Developers. Welcoming you. Rupa Ramamurthy. Welcoming the lovely Rupa. The Executive Vice President, Banking Operations, someone who doesn't look like it, but comes with over 3 decades of experience in core banking. Lakshya Ragavendran. Are you here, Lakshya? Welcoming the lovely Lakshya Ragavendran, an international squash player, recipient of multiple awards and medals and championships, a champion of champions. Inviting an amazingly gifted artist. Come on over, you know who you are. Someone who dreams to build the Museum of Spiritual Art, who's just finished a collection of 64 spiritual artworks symbolizing goddesses in celebration of you, Bina Krishnamurthy. Bina Krishnan. The impact of a mentor. I leave you in the mentoring hands of Padmavathi.
Good evening. And actually, to be honest, I forgot whatever I have prepared after looking at the other speakers and all, no? So as I received mail from the organizing committee, then they said that I have to speak from my heart. So that's what I'm going to do now. See, mentoring I have started my journey in the year of 2002, almost 18 years, and I have trained more than 75,000 students and corporates. And I have when I created my email ID in 2002, that my business mail ID, first mail ID is edutrain2020@gmail.com, because I always admire Abdul Kalam sir. So he always says, no, 2020 is going to be the milestone in everyone's life. Then I have an aspiration that I have to cross 1.5 lakhs before 2020 ends. That's what I'm working towards that also. And when I talk about mentor, all the mothers are mentors for us. As soon as we born, our mother become mentor. They guide us in a proper way, what to do, what not to do. And now the mentoring became a career in a business world. Suppose the person are doing some business, they need to have someone who guide them properly. And for me, mentoring is not only sharing a knowledge and experience, but also guide the entrepreneurs in a proper way. And being I'm also a psychologist also, and I have done my psychometric course in Cambridge University, London, because the assessment, assessing someone plays a greater role in enhancing one's skill. And I have started mentoring the corporate as well as the business people. Then I realized, instead of mentoring or instead of guiding adult, why don't you let me start with the children? So last month I have started one more center at Ashok Nagar, Chennai, where my main business is to mentor only boys. Because someone spoke that we need to guide boys properly so that girls will be on a safer side. I have a strong belief in that. So always we say no in the ALL, if we keep like that, it means it's an equality. So it equals both the sides. I teach these symbols to the boys. I mentor boys how to protect the girls. For me, I can proudly say, I have two sons. My younger one, he is in London. My elder one, he always doesn't want to leave me. And he is a greater inspiration for me. My elder son is my greater inspiration. And he is the one-point contact for all the girls who is in a trouble. If they are in a trouble, they'll call my son. So in that way, mentoring not only adults or the business, mentoring, you are guiding someone in a right direction so that they can lead their journey in a right way, as well as they can guide others also. So in that way, I have started my journey, and my main motto is protect the young girls, protect the women, and we need to teach the boys how to protect the girls also. And when it comes to, I know, that's what I said, that I have forgotten everything. If I pre-planned that I could speak sequentially. And one more thing, all the entrepreneurs, they have aspiration that they have to come up, they have to scale up their business. But they need to know, everything is a need-based and the demand-based. They will start their business at one point of time. But a family is the backbone for them. If the people, they don't have any support from the family also, they also can run the business successfully and they can scale up and they can come up in their life. For that, we need to assess most of the thing. When I assess the entrepreneurs, the one factor, common factor they have is only fear factor. Only whether they can achieve, whether they can scale up. So we need to remove that fear factor. That's what I'm doing. Only fear management as well as the time management will definitely enhance the skill. Also mentoring the children also, it will help their families also to change their lifestyle. So maybe it may be not the prepared speech. So whatever comes to my heart, whatever I do, I have shared. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Padmavathi. We're a little short on time, so I apologize for hurrying you on. Next, we meet with the daughter of a sex worker, someone who grew up in Asia's largest red light area, someone who faced physical and mental abuse, someone who came to an NGO called Kranti that helped her turn all the odds against her into opportunities, into her being a mouthpiece for sharing her story with the world, into her being an international facilitator and public speaker. Please put your hands together and your hearts together in welcoming Jayashree Patil.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So I think I have heard a lot of inspiring stories. Like obviously there are so many people I have met and learned so much here. Like life is a learning process. Like you never stop learning things. I realized today. So firstly, I just have a question. Like what comes in your mind when you hear a word called sex work or a red light area? Anyone can just raise their hand and shout out the words. The first thing comes in their mind. Yeah? Just shout out the words. Okay. Pain. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you. So I think I have heard the words where are so many questions too. So for me, what comes in my mind is an area which is full of mothers, mentors, and a little bit discomfortness, but the strongness of women. Thank you. So, the topic mentor, like since childhood I have, my father died when I was 11 years old, and I was upset with my mom because when my father died in the morning, at the same evening she bought new man at home and said, he's your new dad. For the next 2 years, this new dad used to beat me and my mom almost every day. After that, I moved to Kranti. But you know what made me successful? The fact that I have let go of my anger for my stepdad and also for my mother. I can see that they are also a human being and trying their best at life. They just have some limitation. I have learned that the biggest gift you can give to yourself and to others is forgiveness. So I think these things I realized when I came to Kranti. I was 12 years old when I came to Kranti. So many people have heard Trina before talking me. She's the founder of Kranti NGO. So Kranti fully changed my life. Like the founder, there is one more founder called Robin Chaurasia. So she is Indian American, and now after opening Kranti, it's been 8 years, and Kranti has opened in Women's Day. So it's a big proud thing for us, and Kranti gave me so much. Robin is my mentor since I have came in Kranti. Like just one day when I was 13, Robin asked me, do you know anything about transgenders? And the first thing I came in my mind was, yeah, they are the dirty people. But you know, after that, people like, when I talk to people who from my community, they'll be okay with this judgment, and from others' community too. But Robin asked me why, and I had no answer, because since childhood I have been listening that they are dirty people. And the same thing, when I was growing up in a red light area, I used to hear so many judgments from people that is the dirty area. Your mothers you should be shamed on your mother. And when I came in Kranti, my statement was the same. But you know, it was the Robin who made me realize that she is my mother, and whatever she did, it's for me and my family. And Robin is such a great mentor. She was there when I couldn't see myself in the mirror after facing sexual abuse. It was my cousin, and I couldn't even share it with anyone. So Robin gave me that, Kranti gave me the space where I could do therapy, yoga, meditation, and forgive people, and also to learn and accept myself as I am. So Robin is my greatest mentor, and the second greatest mentor is my past. I feel whatever people see a red light area as a dangerous area, but for me, it's my community. Can you just imagine a community where are so many women around? Like, yeah, there are so many people who got trafficked, and it's their own struggle, but for me, what I think is like I got to try so many different dishes, like food, like from Bangladesh, from Nepal, like so many. So I have my own happiness in my area. Yeah, I used to feel that it's dangerous, but from the people who used to come from the respective, most educated people from the outside, I wasn't afraid of my moms, but I was afraid from the customers, from the police who used to come in our area, and people who used to disrespect me and my community people. So my past, for me, it's been always my greatest strength. Like now I'm here just because of my mom and my community, and big thank to Kranti too. So these are my mentors of life, and I think when you see life is own itself a mentor, like you don't need anyone else to be your mentor. When you see there are things around you, but sometimes when you are deep in your struggle, you couldn't see the good things happening around you. So Robin was the greatest mentor, and my community too. So I'm here just because of them.
What a beautiful celebration of life you are. Excuse me. You said the greatest, yes, you said that. But you also said that our greatest mentor is life. And that is so profound. Because mentors are all around us in various shapes and forms, but to recognize it, that's the beauty that we need to open up our hearts to. Thank you for you. Thank you. If I could invite our next speaker, Rupa Ramamurthy. I didn't forget you.
Can you hear me? Firstly, I'm terrified of standing here and speaking. I'm okay to sit and speak, but I was terrified of this stage. No, that's fine. That's fine. I think one or the other day one has to conquer this. I first like to thank this forum. It's been a wonderful 2 days of developing such good relationships. I found so many good friends here, and I go back with such warm memories. And I think I've gone back with an objective of life. First time I've met my farmer friend who's sitting here right in between, and I've never known anyone who's a farmer. It's my first time in my life I know someone like that, and something that I aspire to be. And so many other women who've inspired me in the last 24 hours. Saraswati auntie, who's there, I made a vow yesterday not to cry when I think of my father, because she's been so brave. But so much that I've learned. So I'd really like to thank this forum. It's also one of the only forums in my entire life where I've seen so many women, apart from family weddings that I shy away from. I've never seen so many women in my entire life, because the community that I come from has more men than women. So I quite like this, and I'd want to do everything to, kind of change that. But also, this is the first time that I've heard the word beautiful being associated with almost every session. Every 2 hours we've been called beautiful, that I'm almost beginning to believe it. Okay. In my banking forums, nobody says, hey, you guys, this is a beautiful forum, come on, in the way that she says, maybe I should try that. But if I did that, those guys with their stiff upper lip and their banking books might just throw me out. Okay, but so when I took up this topic, I was particularly very intrigued with the topic of mentorship because that's what's got me through life. Life itself has been a mentoring experience. Everybody's got drama in their lives, right? Everybody, all of us, some small drama, some big, some medium, all kinds, but we've all got dramas in our life. I'm not exempt either, but I have a particular feature that I'm very proud of. I love to create my own dramas. Where none exists, I can create those without any problems at all. So I was born to amazing parents, amazing grandparents, born in Calcutta, raised in Mumbai, a little bit of a confused soul. I never knew where I belonged to. And I was good academically, and somehow I was very good in math. I kept scoring a centum, so my father assumed that I'm the most intelligent person in the planet, and we were just two siblings. But I was always a loner. I didn't like to speak to people. I wasn't normally very friendly. I also looked quite grumpy. None of my photographs ever in my younger age look ever good, so that's why I keep clicking selfies now all over again, smiling away to glory with every person who will oblige me. When I was 16 or 17, when I was 16, I just finished my 10th standard and all of 10th and 11th and 12th, and I kept topping. 10th, I was a school topper. 11th, I met someone who was very fair. I wasn't very fair at that time. I think I'm a little better now, sitting in AC rooms. But I met a guy who's like really fair, and I thought, if I'm going to let him go, I'll probably get married to some, dark Tamil South Indian Brahmin or something like that. God knows what I thought, but I got married at the age of 17. The day I got married was the day that I got my IIT entrance. I could have made it to IIT, and I chose to get married instead. And I went from a 6,000 square feet house to a 800 square feet house, which housed about 18 people, lovely people. But I went from a strict Tam-Bram community to a very forward Sindhi community. And I had no clue what to do. I've never made tea in my life. All I knew was to study and to attend competitions of singing and dancing, which is party class, dance class is something that we all grew up with. So life taught me quite a bit. So I had my daughter when I was 18 because I'm scared of the bell, so I can't tell the story like I love to. But when I had my daughter and I held her for the first time, I said, how am I going to provide for her? How do I provide for her education? I've been to some of the best schools. I've had escorts coming to me with school because my dad used to supply coal tar to the government. I've grown up privileged. So how do I afford for my daughter? My husband wouldn't even earn, he was poor thing, God bless him. He didn't earn in as much. He wasn't a graduate either. He was quite young. And Sindhi families have businesses and, very different mahol. So I grew up trying to understand what to do. My daughter was 1 year old and I still hadn't figured out, and I was quite upset. My father came during Diwali and, he came with a big bag, and I said this story yesterday. I thought it was mithai. People come to people's houses, and I thought that's what my dad did. But he didn't. He got me books. He got me books and an admission into a college, which allowed me to study during the weekends. And that's where I got my first graduation commerce degree. For somebody who aspired to be into IIT, getting a commerce degree, but saving grace, I topped the college and I topped my paper. The newspaper again didn't come out great. It looked horrible. But I made that. But I think the first mentoring lesson came from my dad, who said, don't give up. Studying is the most important thing. And the second thing that he said is, while you're studying, you have to earn your money. There are no free lunches in this world. If he wanted, he could have given me the best house possible. He could have bought me a house in the best place in Mumbai. But he didn't do that. And he said, you've made a mistake and you've got to learn from it. So therefore, you've got to earn your living. My first job, when you looked up in the Times of India, was in Eureka Forbes. So I had to do door-to-door Eureka Forbes vacuum cleaner selling. I've never sold, leave aside selling, I've never done, even menial work. I haven't even dusted in my own house. Leave aside anything else. I don't know how a vacuum cleaner works. But I had to learn that. And when I first went into the job and they said, what can you do? I said, no, I will do it because the 1,900 rupees that I would make would help me with my daughter's education. That is how poor I was. When I first went to the sales class and they made me learn those lines, I could never get it right. For somebody who could crack IIT, I couldn't get those lines. What are the qualities that a Eureka Forbes cleaner has? I learned it, I by-hearted it. Each time I went in front of the professor, I would forget it. Each time I did that for about 2 weeks and I couldn't get it right. And then they said, if you can't get it right, how will you go and sell? So we'll have to take you out. At that time, the general manager of Eureka Forbes took me into his wing and said, it's not difficult. I've heard you speak. You can speak well. and try and say that in your own words. Try and say that as a story, try and say that in your own words, and the rest is history. He really was so patient with me and so patient in listening to that story in my own words. So sometimes scripting doesn't work. But he taught me that scripting doesn't work, one rule doesn't fit all, and you can just say that in your own words. So I used my own humor, I used my own thing, I used my own example, and I somehow passed the test. At least I didn't ace the class, but I passed the test. But what I did do was become their ace salesperson in Mumbai. They still have my photograph. And I did do very well after that. After that I joined the Times of India because I love to write. When I went into the Times of India, and I was writing, and I was involved in crime beat, which is a very difficult part where you have to capture crime, and it was very depressing. Each time I'd go back to my daughter at home, it would be a depressing scenario to see her and see all the crime and get called in the middle of the night. And we have my journalist friend out here. I can't find her, but it was a difficult time. During one of my interviews, one of the ladies hadn't come, and I think it's Providence. I happened to interview a gentleman from Capital One, which is a bank. And we were talking about a story about why Capital One, which is a US and UK bank, has to outsource to India, which is their destination. And my question to him is, why would you outsource banking? I mean, you have an ATM, you have a checkbook, you have this and you have that. I haven't heard of banking getting outsourced. Why would somebody outsource banking? But it got me very interested in the subject. And as I was interviewing him, I learned quite a lot about banking, and I found that there isn't any textbook. There is the normal school textbooks, but that doesn't teach you how can banking be conducted outside of the jurisdiction that it is in. But I got interested in I ended up getting a job with him, and we got all the processes from Capital One, US and UK into India. I traveled to Nottingham. I went abroad for the first time. I was very happy about that. But I've never looked back from then. I think one of the most important lessons, and he's remained a mentor ever since. Each time I get into a problem with banking, he's one of the few people that I approach when I get into an issue. The message that I'd like to leave with everyone is that there's a mentor at every stage. My father was my mentor at one point in time. But then I've moved on, and I found a mentor in Eureka Forbes. I've moved on, I found a mentor in Capital One. Life itself is a mentor. Today, who's my mentor? My niece, who's 12 years old, she's my mentor. She asked me some really awkward questions like, are you happy now? And I said, no, I'm not. She says, so I think, and today in the organization that I'm in an organization that has a $5 billion USD, out of which I contribute about 17%. That's the banking services revenue. We have 330,000 people across the globe. And we service about 125 banks with 300 different programs. And I'm on the International Banking Council board, and today I talk banking, and I can say that less than 1% of that population in that board are women. So my endeavor is to get as many women as possible. Banking isn't difficult. I think it's important to understand that no line is difficult. There's a textbook for every other line. You get into defense, there's a training for defense. You get into something else, there's a training. But for services such as banking, outsourcing, there isn't any training that is available for senior leadership. And my job is today to provide that senior leadership for women so that they can get into banking. I'll just take, one more minute. One more minute. I just went to the UAE, and the Fab Bank there, which is one of the banks, didn't let me present because I came in a sari. Because in the UAE you can't present to the Islamic bank coming in a sari. I had to go back. I changed. I went back in a hijab, and I presented to them. But after that, after about 2 days, the guy actually wrote to me and said, I love the Indian humility. She could have stood her ground and said, I will not change. But I think Indian humility coupled with banking is a very powerful combination. The next time, please ask her to come in a sari. And I think if we leave, of course I did that a little intentionally for people who know me, but I think it's a very powerful message that women can make it in banking, but we have to be the right mentors. It's now time for me to be on the other side, and I think as mentors, strong on the outside and soft on the inside, just like the Mentos gum, which is hard on the outside and strong on the inside. So if I have to compare, mentors are like Mentos, fresh, hard, and soft inside. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rupa, for leaving us with that unforgettable analogy. Mentors are like mentors. I'd like to invite a sports person par excellence, a squash player, a champion of champions, like we said before, someone who's been playing squash before she was born, right? Since, but since the age of 6, welcoming you, Lakshya Ragavendran.
Are you able to hear me, guys? Okay, so I can't call it good afternoon or good evening. It's 4, so it depends on your time. I'm going to start with something which my dad told me a few days back. He came up to me, he said, you know, these people still believe in horoscope, looking into horoscope. So there's some person who comes home and he says, hey, your daughter was born at the time when a boy was supposed to be born. And then my dad says, look at this, Laksh, you were born at that point of time. I was like, good for me, I'm glad. I'm glad I was born at the time of a boy, because it's better, because being a woman and being strong is something great. Everyone should be proud about being a woman today. But the one thing that made a difference is without having mentors throughout my life, I wouldn't have been here. So giving me this topic to talk today is something I would love to indulge myself and talk a few things about what I have been through and what's the impact of a mentor through my life. So how many of you have had mentor? I think she asked this question and I hardly saw anyone raising their hands up. I was quite shocked. Is that true? No one's had mentor through your life? Awesome. Okay, maybe that's just a source of indirect mentorship. I could say that, if you, in case, have not raised your hand like that. So my first mentor was my dad. It's something I was so gifted to. Everyone have had their parents as their mentor, and it's the same in my case as well. But it moves on. It moves on to every stage. As she was saying that we have mentor through each and every phase of our life. So as she told, I'm a squash player, and I started playing at the age of 5, where I was supposed to be a kid who used to just run around in a club. Rather, my dad decided to lead me professionally because he was into sports, and he did not get the enough support from his parents. But I could really bet on it that if they had done that, I know what my dad would have been today. So I'm really glad that he gave me that opportunity, and I'm able to stand in front of you guys today. So I started playing at 5, and later on he thought of shifting me to the India's best academy. But before that, what he did was the greatest. My dad was a person who never used to write his own examinations, but he went on to write the Asian level coaching examinations just to become a certified coach to handle my career. So I was so proud. That was the starting steps to my success, to my career. I would say the present day parents, when someone else talks to me, I would say parents should not only be ready for advice, they should also be ready to get into action. And that's what I am really looking forward to the other parents. So whenever someone says, be ready for the action, that's the word that comes out of my mouth. So yeah, I mean, he was not ready to write his own exams, and when it came to me, he was like, oh God, I think I should really do this. So I really feel like parents play a major role in the early nurturing of the kid. It's very important that parents really have to take responsibility and tap out the potential out of their own child. And I remember a lot of speakers here would have mentioned mentor through their life. I am a person who's never been a mentor to anyone, but I bet on it that being a mentor would be a lovely thing that you could give someone, you could provide someone, and you can improve their lives. That's a source of gift from the God. So I would say the source of mentorship that was given by my dad was later on I went on to travel around the world. I've traveled around with my team. I've traveled around, learning a lot of things, molding myself maturely, giving a character to myself. I gain a lot of confidence, gain a lot of knowledge traveling around. Mentorship is something that is actually, it focuses around the younger generation. I could say that because it guarantees them that there is someone to take care of them, and then they're not alone. They make them feel like there is someone traveling along with them to their day-to-day challenges. It's a source of boost on a daily routine. And I feel like a parent at the first stage has to do their job, and that's when the kid is at the right path and at the right choice. In the next stage, once we grow up to a certain point of time, I feel like it's time for you guys to start recognizing your own mentors. And this is possible because I'll tell you how I went through. My dad was someone who used to keep giving me a lot of advice, and I was so proud about it. But after a point of time, I felt like, I think I'm just so taxed up. Like, I think it's time I need to start listening to people around as well. So that's when I started joining organizations, getting interactions around in social interactions where you actually get to meet a lot of people. And that's when I started handling myself. I started to learn how things are about life. And being a sports player, I had to be into the social interaction. I really feel like people who don't really involve themselves in social groups should actually start getting yourself into groups where you realize the value of what's the amount of exposure that you get through mentorship from others. And I feel like a lot of us do misunderstand the fact between a mentor and a role model. A role model could be anyone, but I don't think by the end of the day they can become your source of inspiration. But there's a change. When I'm coming here, today after I came here, I realized that there are a lot of role models that I see here, because you people could turn out to be my mentor tomorrow. That's possible. But some people who look up to some celebrity, to a legend, cannot become your personal mentor. So you have to start searching personal mentors amongst your group. Around you, there are so many people who could give value to your life. And through my journey, I would say my journey of squash was 21 years. As she told, it was literally like from my childhood, like since I was a baby, I'm in squash. So all my life, I'm going to finish it off, sorry. So all my life, my squash coaches have been my mentors, and they've played a major role in molding me as a professional player. So the only result of my dad, my mom's involvement, and my coaches involving, and all of this was a result of, being a small player. I'm from a very small city called Salem. I don't know how many of you know about it, but I'm really proud to say that I'm from Salem, because that's the place that's given me this opportunity and exposure to come around. So being a player at 5, I turned out to become the national player at 8. And at 13, I was representing the country at the Asians and the World Juniors. And at 15, I was the youngest Indian to make it to the Indian senior team. And at 17, I won the gold medal after 8 years for our country. So I'm so glad I was involved with a lot of people, having been a mentor in my life. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. Thanks, Auntie. To be a part of WEF. I'm so sorry I'm addressing to her as Auntie, but she really looks as young as me. So I'm really thankful to be here today, a part of everyone. And I'm really glad that I've met so many people who have mentors through their life. And I will cherish this moment forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshya. You said we could choose our mentors as we like. We choose you. You're incredible. Welcoming Neetu Ohri. She's a strategy architect and a HR professional of how many years? 20 years. Many years.
Thank you. This is good for me. Good evening, everyone. I think I can now say good evening. Okay. So, as rightly said, it's been 2 decades I've been doing HR. And I was just wondering, after completing my 2 decades, I took a break for 2 years just to find my purpose. What exactly I'm doing. I've been just doing HR for the corporate, for different industry, right, for financial, infrastructure, manufacturing, education, and now in real estate. So HR is, I can proudly say it's back of my hand. So mentoring, coaching, strategizing architect, when I say strategizing the entire architect of how to run a business and how HR can be a contributor. So these are few things which I will talk about. The main thing I would share here, in this 2 years of my break, I was just understanding what exactly India has in it. So more or less, I also read somewhere, mentor equals to guru. In Hindu, we call it guru. So lot of learning, I was just Googling, I was just trying to Google what exactly is the meaning of mentor. It is guru. So we have been following this kind of a ritual of having my own guru, or maybe book can be a guru to me. I may just follow, I may just have some, a role model when she talks about is, a role model can be a role model, but if I take an example of a Eklavya, if people know about Eklavya, he made a guru and also giving his one of the thumb as a Guru Dakshina, it was called as. So there are so many good things which are there to learn. So when we were learning about this, and I was learning about this, sorry, so it was so touching to me. It is nothing that, okay, if I know that this is someone whom I have to knowing unknowingly call him or her as my guru, I may follow every path. So what happens on the other side is the person is having the competency and the knowledge, which I want in me. So I will just follow the person. How does it impact me? Yes, I'll be taking everything the person is having every time I go to the person and I say, yes, I have learned this path. Now next thing that I want to learn from the person is I have to validate it, and this is how the entire process of mentoring goes. So how this entire work I had brought in the corporate life is creating so what is happening in the corporate is the millennials or the young guys are picking up their mentor or picking up the companies rather than picking up the person they want to work with. So they will pick up, okay, this is the person I want to work with, or this is the person I don't want to work with. So these are the people who are picking the mentors. So it is a lot of responsibility of a mentor to be 100% truthful, honest, and give their 100% to the person who is being your mentee, which is in a corporate language called as. The other thing which I want to highlight here is believe in reverse mentoring, which in a corporate language, again, it is very important. We come into our shell, okay, we know everything, and we forget that the youngster who are there, they have already got into the knowledge and they already have the skill. You talk about the mobile, you talk about the digital world, they are knowing much than us. So they are born with the mobile. So in any house, your chief information, or rather the engineer, will be the 7-8-year-old kid. He will tell you, I will show you how to do this. So they're already coming with those skills. So we need to be ready. We need to be ready in the corporate, or I'm talking more on the corporate side because this is very important. Because I'm coming from the corporate world, so I will talk on those lines. This is very important. We should be ready how to teach them value, how to teach them on the, how the mentoring will help you. There are many programs which happens on reverse mentoring. And this is something we should be accepting it for sure. Right. I think I'll just finish on this. Be ready to be mentor and be ready to be mentoring each and every. That will give a good impact to the organization and to the world. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neeta. I'd like to call on Beena Unnikrishnan to share her thoughts on the topic.
Good evening. Thank you, Mamta and Harbin, for this opportunity. For me, mentor means it. Today, if I'm here talking in front of you, it's the result of somebody's mentoring. Mentor, in our language, on our culture, we call it as guru, one who disseminates the darkness inside you with his knowledge and experience to empower yourself with your energy, to ignite the power within yourself. He makes him you as a leader and moves away. Today, I am talking to you because I had a strong mentor, Dr. Alex, who mentored me without even teaching a word, a subject, with his experience. I'm an artist, I'm a painter. I used to draw squares and circles, always interested in a subject called Yandra, but I never knew what it really means. I heard about this person who was in Chennai. I contacted him. I went to him and I said, I want to learn tantric paintings. Without even understanding what is tantric paintings. It was there always in my mind. He asked me, what are you ready to give for? To learn something like this. You are asking the soul of a subject. I said, what do you want? You said, you tell me what you can see. I said, I can give my time. I was working in a project in Peru for almost 2 years. I left everything. spent my 18 hours of every day with him the 4 years thereafter. And one sudden morning, he left me. He was no more in front of me physically. But after his death, a word before he died, he has given me a book and said, write on Sri Vidya. I looked at him and asked, you all must be knowing Sri Vidya, our actress. You are talking me to write about the actress Sri Vidya. He said, no, you write about Sri Vidya. I don't know how many people knows about Sri Vidya and Sri Chakram. After his death, it made me think, it made me powerful to understand whatever he taught in the last 4 years, along with him, to connect with the universe. That was his teaching, to connect yourself to the universe, understand your own power. Today, I think when the first WEF I spoke, I said I've completed 13 paintings. Today I have completed 64 paintings of yoginis, 64 goddesses, and ready for a museum in Chennai. Again, I don't know how, but I know today I have a powerful organization behind me, all an invisible energy to take me forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Beena. Always inspiring to be in your presence and your art. I encourage all of you to just have a look at her art, and it'll open your world, because it is exquisitely, profoundly vibrant and wise. Beautiful. Thank you, Beena. I'd like to invite our last speaker, Shmuel Levy, a very special social worker from Israel. He works at a school, at a very special school, teaching children from immigrant families and low-income groups, Balkan algebra, and logic circuits. Welcoming you. Yes, he's waiting for that.
Okay, I'm not a social worker. I'm a scientist. So I began my life as a children of a new immigrant to Israel. They come after the World War II. They were very poor with low income. And they said to me that my first and only priority is learning. You must learn. I'm okay. So eventually I applied to the highest institute of technology in Israel, which is the Technion, and I only have a tuition fee for 1 year. But there are many charity foundations and there are scholarships, and eventually I managed to finish my second degree at that institute. So after many years in the high-tech industry and developing sophisticated communication system and military systems, I decided to return back to the society. So I went to a boarding school in my town, and I asked the principal to volunteer free of charge and to educate pupil one-on-one and to give them whatever they need: physics, mathematics, algebra, computer science, anything. So eventually, most of the students which I meet needs only encouraging. They don't need that I should teach them this and that in Boolean algebra or circuits and etc. So I will tell you a short story about a kid. She was 15. Her parents came from Ethiopia, and I asked her, what do you want to be when you finish school? What is your dream? And she said to me, I want to clean floors. I said to her, why? She said to me, my mother is cleaning floors and I want to clean floors. I said to her, no, in Israel, the only way to progress, this is a high-tech country. You must get a BSc or a first degree in the university. You can do that. It's possible. I have done it. I tell her my story. My parents came as a poor from Europe after the war, and her parents came as poor, but it's possible to get higher degree in Israel. They will help you. All you need to do is to excel. And she told me, I don't have money. I said to her, you don't need money. The government will help you. The school will help you. All you need to do is to excel in your school, or to do the best you can do, and to learn seriously. And another thing that you must learn, don't set your goal to the nearest future. Always look far, to the 5 years, 10 years. Always plan a strategic planning, not a simple planning. I want to be this and that, and I will do it by doing those steps. Don't settle with people that will tell you what can't be done. A lot of people are expert with what cannot be done. Listen to the people who can tell you what can be done. How can it be done? They are the real people that can put you forward. Thank you very much.
I'm shocked. This has never happened before in the history of WEF. With all these women having so much to say, you gave us a minute. What an offering. Thank you, Shmuel. And I also want to recognize his patience in being such an engaged audience over the past 2 days as well. Yeah, thank you. This is your first time in India, right? Yes. Thank you for your support, and thank you for the work you do. It's our pleasure. We give it to you over and over again. Is Harbeen here? Mamta, could you, thank you, because we'd like to close this ceremony, but before we do, I want to ask you, did you feel enlightened or discover that you had a mentor in your life? Okay, 3 yeses, good. Okay, 4, 5. Yes? Yes, okay, it's that time of the day where we say a roaring yes. Can you roar it to me? Didn't hear you. One more time. Yes. Okay, double it up. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. One more time. Yes, yes. Welcoming Harbeen. She will come to them. We'd like to present awards as a token of our appreciation at the Women Economic Forum. Calling on Sprite Laureano to join Harbeen in giving away the awards. You met her, you know her, you've experienced her. Lakshya Ragavendran, please step up as we acknowledge your achievements and you as a sports person par excellence. Only 3 more sessions to go. Rupa Ramamurthy, we call on you as we bestow upon you this honor of being an exceptional woman of iconic woman creating a better world for all. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Padmavathi, please step up and accept this honor of being an exceptional woman of excellence at the Women Economic Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to shine your light onto the stage. Jai Shri Patel. Yes! I would stand for her if I were you.